What kind of progress did you see in the passing game? It seemed like Jalen was getting the ball down the field well and making some plays vertically that he hadn't made the first couple games.
Yeah, you see those guys continue to get better each and every week, and that's what this thing is about. Ultimately, is continually trying to find ways to improve. But we still have ways to go. By no means are we a finished product in terms of what we want to be. So. For us, that goal is to find that consistency to be able to go out there and do it at a really high level week in and week out.
On the 4th and 2, the play before that, the 3rd and 2, what made you make that call, and what did you think about it after the fact?
Yeah, I think, the biggest thing is sometimes if you're playing, without getting too specific, but if you're playing in 4-down football, sometimes you can try to hit a shot on the 3rd down. I think it's very similar to that thought process, 10 or 15 years ago, 2nd and 1. A lot of people in 2nd and 1 sometimes would be like, oh, maybe we can take a shot on 2nd and 1. But, for us, we have a lot of confidence in all of our players, every play that's on that list that we can call throughout the course of a game. And, credit to Tampa Bay, they did a great job of playing defense against us in that set.
Nick said he was dragging himself through the mud about the red zone. When you went back and you looked at the red zone, what was your assessment of where you could have been better?
Yeah, I think ultimately it all starts with us as coaches, and our job is to put those guys in the best spots possible each and every play. But you do leave that game with a feeling of, man, we left a lot of meat on the bone in terms of points. And ultimately, that's what it's about. Is us being able to score points. And when you look at it, out of the four scoring opportunities to score one touchdown is unacceptable. And we know we have to be better. We have to put them in better spots. We have to execute better. And it takes all of us. It takes all of us to go and do that and do it at a really high level, week in and week out. But you come back and you watch that tape and you see kind of how some of those series unfolded. Really unfortunate that we didn't finish like we wanted to.
Aside from the quarterback sneaks, we haven't seen many design runs from Jalen in the red zone. Is that something defenses are doing, or is that by design on your end?
No, nothing that they're doing. Sometimes I think the read takes you a certain place. And there have been some read plays where he's had to give the ball and not pull it. So, I think each game is its own individual entity, and there's always that cat and mouse and kind of the ebbs and flow of how each game unfolds. And I think just moving forward, like when you start to put plans in and things of that nature, you always just try to give yourself the best opportunity to score 6.
Have there been fewer zone recalls for 3 games?
In turn, compared to
what you had with Jalen?
No, I don't think so. There's been different reads, probably a different emphasis defensively of how to play some of those reads. But I think when you talk about the zone read game, there is some gray in some of those reads in terms of how defenses try to play it within their structure. So. For us, that's obviously a huge part of what we do, and we have to continue to emphasize it and make sure we're utilizing it at the right times.
We saw that wrinkle off the sneak look. What's that process like, playing off a play that you guys run so well?
Yeah, well, you're always trying to find unique ways to complement things that you do and things that you do a bunch. So anytime that we can find these unique ways to complement what we're doing offensively, that marries certain formations or that marries certain schemes. You want to try to do that to make sure you're keeping the defense honest and protect your main plays. So, that's what that was about. Unfortunately, it didn't work. So, we got to go back to the drawing board and find something else.
Was it going to work?
What's that?
Is it going to work?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't know. So those are one things where you try, you try something new and something creative, and unfortunately, to credit Tampa Bay, they did a great job of defending it.
Talking to Dallas yesterday, he mentioned you guys did see some exotic looks over these first 3 weeks because of the coordinators. For lack of a better term, he expects that to slow down, more traditional. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think, credit to obviously the first 3 defenses that we've played this season. I think, each one of those teams presented a very unique challenge and, had great players and great staffs, and, they put together plans to try to stop what we do well. And, credit to our guys for being resilient and finding a way to continue to battle, continue to find a way to have some production and ultimately win those football games. So, I think for us, I think the biggest point is that each game is really its own independent entity. And, going into each game, teams are going to have specific plans, and it's our job to be able to figure out what that is, be able to adjust to it properly, and put our guys in the best position possible to go win.
I know you guys emphasize explosive plays. Those numbers were up quite a bit this past week, or I should say Monday.
Mm-hmm.
What was the difference? What led to that?
I think our guys did a great job of making plays both down the field and turning some, shorter catches into explosive plays. I think when you have, dynamic players like AJ and Dallas and Smitty and those guys, like there was a couple hitches that AJ called and the corner missed a tackle, and he was able to turn 2 of those into explosive plays. But there was also some plays in the drop back game where, we hit a big in cut versus a drop 8 coverage, and so some of those things are just a matter of us executing at a high level and getting our guys in position to where they could do things with the ball in their hands in space.
Ryan, is the strength of Washington's defense their front with 4 first-round draft choices?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously that front 4 is as good as anybody in the NFL. When you talk about Jonathan Allen and Payne and Sweat and Chase Young, all of those guys, they can wreak havoc. And, I think that's something that, obviously is going to be a huge focal point for us in the game is that matchup. So we have to do a great job of trying to put our guys in the best position possible. And, I know everybody's excited to get going on Sunday.
Conceded over 160 rushing yards last week, but first week of the season they were much stouter against the run. What do you see as kind of the reality of the state of their run defense? Is it kind of somewhere in the middle, or either?
Well, I think they have excellent players, particularly inside. And, the 2 defensive tackles are guys that can create havoc, that can get knocked back. They create, tackles for loss, and they also can rush the passer. So, it is definitely a very, very unique front that has a great skill set, and it'll be a challenge for us to go out there and play Sunday. But I know our guys, how competitive they are, and I know everybody's looking forward to that challenge.
Ryan, we saw Ozzie make two big plays, both on the same drive. How important is it to develop that third receiver, whether it's him or Quez, just to keep defenses honest and playing AJ and Devontae?
Well, I think it's very important in terms of that all 5 skilled players can contribute to the offense in a meaningful way. And, whether that's in the run game, the pass game, making big catches, drawing coverage sometimes is a part of that. But if you have all 5 position players available at your disposal and those guys have the ability to make those type of plays, I think it makes it really hard for you to defend.
Talked to Nick yesterday about motion. This offense doesn't use a ton of it. Is there something behind that philosophy?
Yeah, I think I think Nick's mentioned this before, but with motion, for us, when we do use motion, there has to be a specific reason for it, and I think that's just different philosophies in terms of what you see throughout the course of every level of football. Some people motion just the motion. Some people motion to get specific things set for their offense. But for us, I think that's something that we've kind of done the past 3 years.
You see Jalen make big plays, extending them, obviously, and then he stood in the pocket on that touchdown pass. What dictates, from your perspective, whether he should stay or he should extend the play?
I think the one thing that I've always preached to Jalen is that each play is independent, and I think once you get to that mindset, especially at the quarterback position, is it requires a ton of instinct, a ton of feel to understand like what the game needs at that moment. And the play that he made on the 34-yard touchdown pass to sit in there and really wait for OZ to clear across was as good of a play, that I've seen him make here in 3 years. So, you can see that growth, that development in terms of how he's being able to utilize different parts of his game to make plays.
Is that a play more pass he stays in the pocket for?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen him stay in the pocket before, and you've seen plays where he's gotten out and made explosive plays on the perimeter, and you've seen plays like that where he's gotten out and threw the ball away. So, you've kind of gotten all three results from it. So, for me, it's like, we're looking at them in a vacuum in terms of like treating them all independently and not based on the result, of trusting like what you see, trusting your process of how you're maneuvering the pocket and being able to have your eyes and feet in concert at all times.
What was it about that play, Brian, that elevated to that spot in your mind where it's one of the best he's made or the best he's made?
Well, I think just the throw, because he did get hit at the end of the throw, and to be able to throw that ball like that while getting hit, standing in there and taking a hit, I think that was a really impressive play.
Brian, Chris Sims has made a point on the tush push for people to hit Jalen Hurts. Have you heard about that and your thoughts on maybe people taking shots at him just to try to stop that play in some way? Yeah, I know this whole tush push thing has been like a huge controversy. But I really have no thoughts on the play or people's opinions on the play. I think ultimately the bottom line is this, is we try to put our players in the best position possible. And, that play has been an advantage for us. It has been a weapon for us over the course of the last year and a half. And, we know it'll be a focal point for defenses that, to try to take that play away. But, in terms of what other people say or how other people comment on it, it really makes no difference or has no bearing or effect on how we operate.
Absent the controversy with that play, as a former quarterback, is there something the quarterback can do to make it easier for the offensive lineman to convert and easier for everybody? Do you have to have a feel at that position to convert the sneak?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you look at, just in the history of, people have been running quarterback sneak for a really long time. And you just go back throughout the history of the league, a couple come to mind. I remember as a young teenager watching Tom Brady running against the Ravens, on a huge fourth down conversion. So, I remember at one point in my career, that play was called Brady. When we were at Florida, I think we used to call quarterback sneak Brady because we saw him do it a bunch. So that play has been run for probably as long as the game's been around. And, fortunately for us, we have a great group of guys who can execute it at a high level.